Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's presentation. This was billed as Visualize a New World, and I've changed the name of this series. It's going to be Reveal the Future. So we hope that what we are doing in these visualizations is revealing the future that we can see in our lifetimes. Backstage, we were just having a little conversation about some pretty nefarious stuff that's going on around the world. But before we get into that, I'd just like to give everybody a chance to say hello and, um, plug their channel and all of that stuff. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for being with me. Let's start with Gerald. Gerald, how are you?
I am very well. I'm glad to be here as part of this important and sometimes challenging conversation, yet very powerful because it really can give all of us an opportunity to add our bit of energy to a greater purpose. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's what I'm about.
Oh, that's great. And Michelle Marie, welcome to my channel. It's very nice to see you. Um, what's going on for you?
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on. It's an absolute honor. I am a Vedic and Western astrologer as well as a Tarot and Oracle card reader, and I use my practice to just spread as much light as possible in a darkening world, what we call Kali Yuga. So
Yes, yes.
this taps right into my practice and what I'm trying to do just for the collective as a whole, because we need a lot of light in
We do.
in these times. So, and I'm an American like you guys, so the last few years have been more difficult than the normal.
Yeah.
So
And not to scare everybody, but just how long does the Kali Yuga last?
400 and about around 440,000 years, and we're about 5,000 into it. So we're at the dawning of the Kali Yuga.
So I guess as a human being experiencing a life on this planet right now, this would be a great time to be learning things and evolving our soul because there'll be plenty of challenges, right?
Yes, defense against the dark arts for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's great. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. And Sylvia, please go ahead and plug your channel. And also welcome to you. It's the first time for you on my channel. So I'm very
Yeah,
happy to have you.
thank you, thank you. My name's Sylvia, Colorful Foresight. It's basically just me talking about intuition because the thing is, everybody has intuition. So the reason why the focus is on that, because heading into AI and we're heading into this and that, very important to be in tune, very in tune, not for the special few, not even for the psychic people. It's all the same, but psychic maybe is in their family line or their life path, or they worked at it. But by nature, everybody intuitive. So it's very important to focus on that. So I do a lot of like fun videos. I do political, but very little. I do current event and different topics where we're just learning about intuition stuff. So that's my theme, kind of like we all are already. So don't even try be. We are. It's just a matter of you being aware of it. So thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited about this
Yeah,
visualization.
thank you for
No, I was saying very important to visualize. It's not just about, oh, let's visualize. It's really to see what is possible, you know, and things like that. Could we see the reality check of things? So let's see what else there for us to focus on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, while we were backstage, Michelle Marie brought up this organization that I was not aware of, but I've pulled it up on my screen here. Pretty frightening. Um, Michelle Marie, you want to just go ahead and just give us the thumbnail of what this thing is?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, all of the major autocratic
Hello?
nations with the. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Sorry, I just cut out for a second.
Yeah,
So all
I
of the
can hear you.
major. Great, thank you. So all of
Oh,
the major. Oh, okay. All of the major autocratic nations have basically teamed up. They're the ones with the largest populations to form an organization called BRICS. And it is an intergovernmental organization comprising of Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. And they're taking on more countries as we speak. They own 23% of the world GDP and over 60% of the world's population. Just to give you guys an example, America has 4% of the world's population, and we're 26% of the GDP. So that should tell you how well run these countries are compared to how we're running our country. So it's a little frightening, and their whole goal is to take out the West, to take out democracy, and they're going for Europe, they're going for Australia, they're going for America. So
Yeah.
and you can look them up on YouTube. They have summits and everything.
Oh my God. Yeah. Very frightening. And what I had mentioned also backstage is that, you know, an organization with that kind of agenda, you got to know that they love any war anywhere in the world, because that kind of upset and chaos makes that country ripe for being taken over. Even in the United States, just even small municipality skirmishes or state skirmishes, you know, are an opportunity for them to get a toehold and to get their people in there. And I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, although I have loved me a couple of conspiracy theories, I gotta say. But this organization just sounds like bad guys. It just sounds like a bunch of bad guys. Like, I just don't want to see them succeed at all. And one of the reasons that I'm doing this show is to gather together light workers such as yourself and to pool our energetic resources, to pool our intellectual resources, and to pull in the audience so that we can focus our energy towards the light and towards bringing more people to the light, to helping more people feel powerful, and using that energy, using that desire to be light workers, to be the good in the world, to make effective change. And so tonight's topic is going to be war. And what I'd like to really focus on are the ideas of what would the world look like without war. So yeah, we can, at the end, we will spend a couple minutes, you know, sending good energy to the people of, you know, Palestine and Israel and the Ukraine. But what I really would like to have people use their imagination on is, what would it be like if war just didn't exist? If our children grew up and just didn't even know what a war really looked like. Kind of freaky to think about, isn't it? Because all of us, no matter how old you are, you have lived through periods of your history really on Earth where there are wars, and they do have an impact on everybody. Most of all the countries who are at war, but also people that you know who have to go fight the war, or somebody that you know that loses a spouse in the war, or a son or a daughter, or whatever. They lose somebody. So I hope you're ready to talk about this. What I'd like to do is go around the circle again and have each of you describe what you would hope for or what you think it would be like if we didn't have war. And you don't have to, you know, cover everything, you know, of course, but just the couple of things that come to mind. What comes to mind for you? So anybody who's ready could start.
I think for me, visualizing no war, it shifts it to visualizing and experiencing a sense of desiring to understand other people so that we can quickly find out how we are similar instead of how we are dissimilar. Because at that way, then we can focus on those things that are important to us: our children, our health, our well-being, the environment, food, sharing all of that. There's this greater sense of connection rather than conflict and competition.
So how would you see that in practical terms? How do you think that would manifest?
It would manifest into no one would go hungry. Everyone would be housed. Everyone would have access to information. Everyone would be educated. Everyone would have health care that was actually focused on prevention rather than, necessarily just solving the issues immediately. It's like, let's keep you healthy. Let's start you out healthy. Let's keep you healthy. And let's help empower everyone to help each other without needing necessarily to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. All right. Anybody else?
Okay, I'll add to that. Well, first of all, if we are not in war, that means there had been enlightenment that happened for humanity as a whole, not for the few, for all of humanity. So if we're at that stage, instead of going, well, how could that be? It happened because of we are enlightenment. Now, I'm not into astrology, but we have two astrology people here. We are going into the Aquarian age and the Golden Age movement. So it's there to support us. That is the possibility that's actually supporting us. So that's scientific. So because we are enlightenment, we're thinking a certain way. We don't think, we see our shadows or not, our shadowy aspect and our more elevated aspect, but we don't have that judgment thing going on. We see it in a different way. So, we're in this box right here, but as you grow, you're looking at the same thing, but the box, as you continue to grow, you're looking at the same thing, but view it differently. So that's how it is possible. That means enlightenment came in, the planetary supporting that. As Gerald said, you have housing, you have people working together. People are going to be very in tune because we know intuition is natural anyway. It's in everybody. So that means if we're in a world without war, everybody's very in tune. There's nothing, the dark who try and provide divisiveness, to try and keep people where they don't trust their intuition and all that. So the opposite of it, that people are very in tune, it's very natural, very everyday thing. And because of that, we don't get mixed up in disinformation. Or if we get mixed up, there's no like profession, even in the world of enlightenment, the universe is infinite. There's always like something else after that. But as far as humanity, that's pretty good to be up there, as in listening to intuition. Everybody had that. They're very aware of it. Enlightenment say so that's possible. And you have the planetary that's actually supporting that. Communication, very good. You probably are solution oriented. I mean, we see that right now where people try to work together by partisanship. What happened when that actually happened? You could have like a difference of opinion, but you learn how to work together. So in that world where there's no war, that means people could come up with solutions. They don't have that drama, okay? And the love vibe. I was doing a video like for my spirit guide, what the message for 2024. And they're like, just learn to love yourself. I'm like, why? Because of all the divisive nature, they like what's happening the last few years, it brought out the worst in me. So I'm seeing a lot of like increased people are separating and all that. They want to like support that energy. So this is just practical. Do things you love in 2024. Do it, whatever it is in all area, because that's gonna like kind of knock out all the negatives, so to speak. So that's what the world looked like without war. More community. There's no like-minded thing. People just kind of gel, without differences or not. So that's what I have to say so far. What do you think,
Well,
Colleen and Michelle?
let's hear from Michelle.
Well, in the Vedantic literature, they describe the age that we're living in as a one-legged cow. Cows are sacred in Hinduism and in Vedic philosophy. And so in Satyuga, which would be heaven on earth, which is what you're describing, the cow would have 4 legs, meaning everyone's in tune, everyone's on board, they know what to do. And during Satyuga, there were only about 144,000 people on earth. Now there's over 8 billion. So in Kali Yuga, And Vedantas teach that Earth is here and all of the netherworlds are down here. And the further you get down into the netherworlds, the more material your existence becomes. There's no planets there to control you. You don't have to work a whole lot. Everything's provided for you. So the further you get into the netherworlds, aka hell, which is actually quite nice, you are fully provided for. Everything's perfect. Medicine, everything's good. You get up to Earth. That's when you have to start doing the work. That's when the suffering starts. And that's where all of the divine wisdom and knowledge and work comes. So any soul that signed up for Kali Yuga is looking for an upgrade, even the most demonic among us. So everyone's here to level up, even though they're not acting right, because they could be coming from a place where a lot of the things they're doing are completely natural, because the netherworlds are golden palaces. They're not like the average life that we have on Earth now. And so my belief is that these are higher level beings that are coming from the nether regions, and they're trying to recreate their world there. And it's at the demise of their fellow man and woman. So that's what I see going on, just from my own philosophy. But we are in Kali Yuga, which is the opposite of Sat Yuga. And Sat Yuga, the gods and goddesses were literally walking among us. And there was a lot of work that needed to be done in order to level up during Sat Yuga, because it was basically all handed to you. And Kali Yuga, it's the hardest and darkest time to level up. However, it's the easiest. All you have to do is remember your Ishta deity, which is a name of your specific deity at death. And you can become one with that deity. That is how powerful this time is. But because there are so many distractions from the demonic realms, it's difficult to focus on that. That's why when you see Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, how God's hand is literally reached all the way out and man's like this. What's man doing on the other side? He's distracted. He's looking away from God. He's paying attention to all of these other things going on. I think that when we're able to focus on a spiritual modality or practice and stay calm in the face of chaos, especially during Kali Yuga, we can level up to those higher planes of existence and being. And I think it's a hard time to be a soul, but it's also a chance to make a lot of progress.
So if I'm hearing you right, you're agreeing with what Sylvia is saying, kind of 1,000%. All the enlightenment and the love and all
That's
of that.
Sat Yuga. Yeah.
That's what would be like without war. Okay, good. So this is good. You guys understand the assignment. That's great. So without war, I think it's a lot easier for people to operate out of love, because there would be, I think, a lack of fear of reprisals and being hurt. People would probably respect one another a lot more. And I think recapture the curiosity and wonder about life and the universe, rather than the fear and skepticism that, what are they trying to do to me? Why are they trying to hurt me? So that kind of fear and paranoia would dissipate, would probably go away. I made a few notes while you guys were changing. So without war, our attitude about our health and healthcare would change a great deal. We would look at prevention, but also we would just not accept that anybody could be hurt. I think that's my idea of, no war, not even a war on our bodies, no war on our minds, not just no guns. And I don't know if there would need to be guns, if we didn't have war. Maybe that whole thing goes away and we just don't even have guns anymore. It would, to me, I would hope that this would change the world when it comes to workers' lives. Do you really have to get in a car and drive somewhere to go to a job? Maybe things like that could change, and we could eliminate that kind of nonsense, because companies' ideas of competition would really change dramatically. Without war, to say that, oh, we won over them, that kind of duality, there would still be some duality, but I don't think it would be as acute, as pointed as it is now, where every level of our society has competition. Your kids are competing against one another in schools. Your neighbors, you're competing against your neighbors for the nicest house or the coolest pets or the biggest yard. Your municipalities, they want to have a better municipality and a better government structure than the town next to them. and on and on and on. It just goes on and on and on, that this competition of being better, better, better ultimately leads to war. So I think that a lot of those things would soften and perhaps go away. It also occurs to me that if everybody was enlightened, as Sylvia was saying, and as Michelle alluded to, if people were really enlightened and they were really operating out of love, they would be really tuned in with their intuition. And so would we begin to communicate telepathically, and we would cease to have a need for things like cell phones. I mean, maybe. I mean, who knows? Who knows how this would affect the internet and social media? I mean, this would take a sea change, but humanity, if nothing else, is capable of a sea change. We see it. We've seen it throughout history that people demand change. That I think is more human nature even than going to war. So if we take that even a step further, if people can communicate telepathically, then can they not also transmute their molecules to another location with teleportation? So would we eliminate the need for transportation that we have now, the systems that we have now? Would all of that be eliminated? Okay. Just throwing some things out there that really are possible. They're not actually that far-fetched. None of the things that I talked about are that far-fetched.
You know what came to mind?
Yeah.
I think it's very rare, but in the Himalaya there are like flying Buddha.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
and they're probably like up there. So that is definitely a possibility. And then you think of ETs, who apparently they're like, how many? So they're still using transportation of sort, but maybe each universe had the different.
Well,
You know,
some of them are using transportation, but we don't really know. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
they are doing all sorts of things. So I know that there is a I wish I knew this guru's name, but there is a guru in India who has a very large school for children. And what they're teaching, and I don't know if anybody knows his name, but he begins teaching them about their own intuition at a very, very early age. And because these children are children right now, most of them are already indigos or crystal or rainbow or whatever. They're all connected. They're using all 12 DNA strands. They're completely plugged into the universe. And so intuition comes pretty easily to them. And then he starts in with doing readings for people at great distances, which leads to telepathic communication. And then he teaches them teleportation. And he teaches them to begin to move a grain of rice from their hand to somebody else's hand in another room, in another town, in another state, across the world. And they do it. And they do more than grains of sand. So these are concepts that are entirely possible right now on our earth with our puny little brains and our stupid little DNA that's barely connected. We can do these things. So what I want to talk about in this visualization is incorporating some of those things that I just described, because I think see, if you visualize something, just no war, just the absence of war, well, what's going to be in its place? You can't, nature abhors a vacuum. You can't just say, I don't have war anymore and expect that that's just going to be cool. Yeah, for like 30 seconds, everybody's going to go, whew, glad that's over. But then human nature kicks in and we want something to fill in the blank. So let's fill in the blank with all of this cool stuff. You up for it? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'd like everybody in the chat and here online, I'd like everybody to just begin to breathe in through their nose and blow out through your mouth. And in through your nose and out through your mouth. Okay, so just let that kind of settle in. And if you have any adjustments you need to make to the way you're sitting or standing or laying down or whatever, Do that while we're doing this breathing. And now we're going to count while we breathe. I'm going to count you in to breathe for 4. I want you to hold it for 3. And we're going to release the breath for 6. So we're going to breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, and release, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And breathe in, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, and exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just continue to breathe. You can either continue to do the measured counted breathing in your head, or you can return to your normal breathing. This kind of breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth is a signal to the body to relax. And we're going to continue that whole relaxation process by focusing on our feet. So just focus on your toes and your feet. And if you need to, you can wiggle your toes a little bit if you have any little bit of energy that needs to be released. But just imagine that your feet are very warm and heavy. Your feet and your toes just feel nice and warm. Everything feels real cozy down there. And your feet are heavy. And again, if you need to relax them or move them in any way, just go ahead and move those feet to where they feel the most relaxed. And then let this warmth move up to your ankles. And as you take a nice deep breath in, just allow your ankles on the exhale to just be bathed in nice, soothing, comfortable warmth. And then bring the warmth up through your shins. And imagine your entire calf and your shins, your forelegs, everything is nice and warm and heavy. Really heavy. So heavy it doesn't even pay to have that little stitched up muscle or that little cramp or that little feeling that you need to move it. Just relax into the heaviness and the warmth of your lower legs. And now let's have that warmth wash over your knees and all the joints and tendons and muscles that surround your knees. And keep that warmth coming up to your thighs. Now this is a big one. Your thighs are the biggest muscles in your body. So we're going to spend a little time letting that warmth ease up from your knees into your quads, the top of your thighs, and let that warmth move all the way up to where your legs join your pelvis. And make sure that you allow that heat, that warmth, that wonderful, soothing energy go all the way around the back of your thighs. And you feel really warm. And your thighs are extremely heavy. And before we go any further, in your mind, I'd like each of you to say, my legs are heavy. My legs are warm. I am at peace. My legs are heavy. My legs are warm. I am at peace. And now we're going to bring that feeling of warmth and relaxation up through your glutes and up through your lower back. Just let that warmth rise up into your muscles all the way into your lower back. And all of those muscles become heavy. Just miraculously, all the tension falls away. and you feel so relaxed. And now addressing the front side of our abdomens, let the heat come up through your pelvis, up through your abdomen, all the way up to your solar plexus. And feel heavy in this area as well. It's like you have a nice warm blanket fresh out of the dryer wrapping itself all the way around your torso, all the way around your legs, all the way around your feet. And you are heavy and warm and at peace. And now the heat continues up through your chest area, up from your back, all the way through the middle of your back, to your upper back, to your shoulders. It's like someone just put on a warm backpack, and you're just feeling this warmth going all the way through your torso. And your torso is heavy, so you're just sinking into your chair. Or if you're lying down, you're just sinking into the surface that you're lying on. And it feels so relaxing and so good and so peaceful. And now from your shoulders, the heat just goes down your upper arms and warms up your upper arms into your elbows and into your forearms and over your hands. Just have the heat go over the top of your hands and fingers, and then wrap around your fingertips and come on the bottom of your hands, the palms of your hands. And let that heat move back up your forearms, back up the lower part of your arms and the upper arms. So now your arms are warm and heavy and peaceful. And now in your mind, I want you to think, my body is heavy and warm. I am at peace. My body is heavy and warm. I am at peace. And now the heat moves up over your face and up to your scalp and up the back of your neck and up over the back of your scalp. Don't forget that your ears are going to get warm and your whole face is going to get warm. The muscles around your mouth are going to be warm. The muscles covering your jaw will be warm. Your cheeks and cheekbones will be warm. The muscles around your eyes are going to be warm. The muscles in your forehead are going to be warm. The muscles in your scalp will be warm. The muscles over your ears will be warm. The back of your neck will be warm. The front of your neck will be warm. And you will be warm and heavy and at peace. And now that we are feeling very, very peaceful, I'd like you to imagine that you open up whatever you get your news from. This could be a TV screen, a magazine, a newspaper. It could be talking to a friend. And you're enjoying what you're hearing. The news that you're hearing is delightful. They've given another beautiful building to support the healthcare industry, or they've dedicated another bridge so that two communities can walk across the bridge to one another. Just imagine some glorious, wonderful, beautiful, peaceful activity that is being presented to you in the form of news. And this is interesting, but you think, there are other things that I'm interested in. For instance, I'm interested in the fact that I have a job that I no longer have to drive to, or ride my bike to, or take a bus to, or take a train to. I have a job, and at the time that I'm supposed to start my job, I'm going to go to the room in my house where I do my work, and I'm going to connect to my job. Now, I'm not saying how you're connecting. You could connect in all sorts of ways. We'll just leave the job there for now, but just know that everybody who wants a job has a job. And most people really love their jobs. And the only people who might not love their jobs are teenagers who don't love anything, or people who have decided that it's time to move on. And so they have a healthy discontent about what they're doing in their jobs, but it's because they've changed. It's not because their boss is horrible or somebody denigrated them in the coffee room. They're just moving on because they've grown, they've changed. And now let's look at what about people who are working in healthcare? So let's say that you're a healthcare worker. Well, you do really have to see people, but you can do a lot of that through telemedicine. So we look at people in healthcare and we realize, gee, they have a new role in our society. They're integrated in our communities. We no longer have to separate ourselves from our families to go see somebody about healthcare. They can either be there with telemedicine, or they can come to our homes, or we have a weekly workshop that anyone can attend and ask all their questions. And these people give out lots of good, intelligent advice, lots of things that don't involve medicine, that don't involve invasive procedures. There's just lots of gentle, natural healing taking place. And a lot of it has to do with energy. And now we look at our families and we say, well, I can do energetic healing. So I'm going to do that for my family. And my energetic healing is going to be really good. And when I need healing, somebody in my family will do it for me. So that person who is the healthcare worker, yes, they still have a job, but they do many different things. They still feel like a healer. They still feel like they're helping people. But they're not overwhelmed anymore. They feel really happy in their work, and they feel really well respected. So in this vision of our world, many communities are thriving. The idea of competition is really different than what it is now. The idea of competition is more of a curiosity, of a personal best. Like, how can I make this better for me and the world? The idea that as you raise your own vibration, you raise the vibration of people around you is a universal concept, one that is absolutely accepted by everybody on the planet. And something else that you notice is that when you get up in the morning, a lot of people in your household just don't speak. They don't need to speak. They're communicating telepathically to you. So every morning you get up and you and your partner will say good morning to each other and say I love you to each other and say, it's okay, I'll put on the coffee or the whatever you're drinking, the tea, I can't think of it, the chicory or whatever. But you won't say it with words. You'll just communicate it to your partner. And then perhaps you work from home, but perhaps your partner actually has to go to work. So at the appointed time when your partner needs to go to work, perhaps they just sit down on the couch in the living room and a few minutes later they're gone because they've teleported to work. They've sent themselves to work. And perhaps when you have to have a really, really big meeting at work, perhaps you communicate with the people at work telepathically. Perhaps that's how things are done. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice not to have people competing to talk over one another, people worried that their idea isn't better than the next person's? Wouldn't that be nice for everybody to just get along and to just accept that there is plenty of room for everybody's ideas? There's plenty of room for one country to have a really special export and another country to have just no really super special exports, but maybe they just have many exports that are kind of middle of the road, but it helps that country stay afloat and their economy thrive. The world can be different. We can communicate in our minds. We can still speak if we want to. We can still have things like beautiful music and songs and art and dancing and all sorts of audible arts, but we can also have telepathic communications. And perhaps we use telepathic communications for the things that are really important. Or perhaps we use telepathic communications with people that we know really, really well. But I think we could still have both, because I think it would just be a shame to lose things like hearing birds sing and then trying to whistle, or singing just for the joy of singing, because it does raise your vibration and make you feel good. So later on in the day, your partner teleports back to the living room, and the two of you have a telepathic conversation about how wonderful your day was. You decide to make some food, and the food comes out of a garden that's in your backyard. And it's not a lot of work because the whole community kind of collectively works on the garden. And so you rotate chores and duties having to do with the garden. You communicate telepathically with your neighbors because it feels good to do so. And there are no neighborly fights. There's no fights across the fence. There's no worry about, oh, did you park your car on my yard? That kind of thing just doesn't exist, because the duality and the competition that comes from the thing that we used to call war doesn't exist anymore. We are slowly moving away from dualism and moving towards a more unified existence where we truly do love one another, where we truly love ourselves enough to allow all of our intuitive gifts, all of our psychic gifts, all of our clair gifts to flourish to the point where we can communicate telepathically and we can teleport wherever we want to go. Now, I wish I had a big enough imagination to talk you through what all the cities in the world would look like, what all the communities would look like, what all the beautiful careers and relationships would look like. But I think I've kind of come to the end of my imagination for this one. So we'll have to do this again. And so in the meantime, I'd like you to come back to your body. Realize that you're still warm, but not as warm as you were before. You're still at peace. And imagine that a beautiful white light has entered your crown chakra and is moving through your body, sort of waking you up and bringing you back to this reality. This white light, it's got little gold sparkles in it, and you just feel great as it moves through your body. It just energizes you and gives you a wonderful feeling. And let that light move all the way down from the top of your head, your crown chakra, all the way down to your feet and your toes. And just take a couple of minutes to do that. And when you're ready, we can all come back together and we can have a little talk about what we've been through.
I don't want to talk too loud because everybody's still waking up. I am so like high vibe now, just from doing that, listening to your visualization, because we're tapping into that kind of energy. Wow, it's amazing.
We should do this all the time, because if you allow yourself to go there, it becomes more real. You get more detail, So this was cool.
Yeah, you hear about like how vibe, it just a big visualization, the
So,
vibe.
yeah.
So that's what I was feeling, all that vibe. A world without war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
How's everybody feeling in the audience?
Hey, we got some good ones. We got some nice compliments. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Yeah, everybody did the meditation too. Oh, that's cool. That's very cool. So, yeah, so here we are. So I hope that was helpful for everybody. When you put a group of people together and everybody has the same beautiful vision, it's very powerful. Very powerful. So this one, I did not send this one out to the universe quite yet. I think we need to work on this one so that we can really get a really cool vision of how we want the world to be, and then we'll send that whole thing out to the universe, because I really want this one to come true. I really want this to happen.
So what are you planning to do like with your other, you're going to have different topic every time?
Yeah, so it's a different topic every time. I thought poverty would be a good one, or abundance, the antithesis of poverty. Um, we'll go back to health again. We'll talk about, um, we're going to say a little blessing in a minute for Ukraine and Israel and Palestinians, but talk about, protection for people who are the victims of war, things like that. We're going to talk about the climate change, the planet, just anything that really needs it, we can talk about it. And as we talk about it and we come up with beautiful visualizations of how to counter it, I think will help. It will help.
That's amazing. Holy moly.
I just wanted to put Ginger Fay up.
Oh, that's great. I bet that's because of the warm and heavy and peacefulness, because that's a very powerful message to your body. Because so many of us since COVID, we don't feel safe. We don't feel peaceful. We feel like we could be attacked at any moment and get that stupid disease, And there's so many people like you're saying, Ginger Fay, that since that time they've not been the same. So, wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. That's
What's
wonderful.
interesting that she shared that, because I kept, when as you were speaking before, you know how everything the ripple effect. So here are we, the little we that we are. So that
Mhm.
the little ripple effect. So somehow that could connect with the others that doing something similar. Like, so already just from this, it just did something. I mean, you have somebody who smelled orange. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, that's kind of all I have, guys. If you have something to add, please add it.
I think what's really important is this is a taste of what it's like to do this. So if you've never done this before, think about what it feels like in your body and in your heart and in your energy to share this experience with other people. Because when you do this again, pull on that feeling that you have right now, because it helps to manifest it.
Hmm.
Because if you feel like something, you believe it and you feel it as if you already have it, that gives it so much more power.
Yeah, and along with that, the emotion is really important too. When you get excited about something, that raises your vibration. So if you couple that excitement and emotion with feeling it and believing it, that's how you attract things. That's
Yeah,
really, really important. And so many times we really like, I visualized money and I did a spell and I did it and nothing happened. And I'm like, well, look at you. Look, your little eyebrows are like this and you're angry and you've got a weird vibe coming off of you. Yeah, that isn't the law of attraction. The law of attraction doesn't say you can be, a negative, greedy bitch and get what you want. It says you need to believe it. You need to be excited. You need to raise your vibration. And when you do that, when you combine the emotion with the raised vibration, with the desire and seeing it in a beautiful way, that's how things happen. They don't happen otherwise. So, Michelle, anything from you?
I did get a really positive vibe of something actually going on in the world right now. When you mentioned, imagine someone building a bridge, imagine people working in the garden for each other. I got that a lot of what used to be the third world is coming up because they're getting together and they're working together and they're collaborating, and they don't have a lot of the systems that we have in the larger context of things, and we can learn a lot from them.
Yeah. And
And
also people coming from those, not just third world countries, but any country that had to do things for themselves, that had to work
yes,
the land, that had to, we can learn a lot from them, and they understand how to do it directly. They're not reading, Reader's Digest, how do you do a garden? They're just doing it because their family's been doing it for generations. So we can learn a lot from them too. And
You know what?
so the message. Oh,
No, I'm going to say, I think in Puerto Rico, you know how they're struggling, but they might be the lead to green energy. So you hit it right on the mark. Something about that third world thing and the creativity and all that.
yeah,
well, and the message I got for the collective is be local. You don't have to save the world. Do it for your community. If you want to start a garden, get some of your neighbors together and start a garden.
yeah.
If you want to build that bridge, go to some city council meetings and talk about how the money is being allocated. Get involved in your community. That's the best way to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't underestimate the idea that your telepathic thoughts are not influencing someone else. They absolutely are. So if you want to um, influence that meeting that you're at, send love to the person that you are trying to get the attention of. And even if you don't get their full attention, just send them love. And then you will find at some point you'll have an opportunity to talk to them and have that 15-second elevator speech ready for why you want to do what you do. Don't underestimate your power. You're a very powerful being. And anytime you tell yourself that you're not, you're really cutting off your feet, because you're stardust. We're all stardust. So, grab that opportunity and use your brain, use your telepathic powers. They are strong. So, okay, that's my soapbox. Everybody's telepathic.
Well, that was a great analogy on how to control the inner warrior, that Martian energy we all have. That's great for this topic, Colleen. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Well, thanks, everybody. Thanks, Gerald, for helping and moderating. I always appreciate that, and for being here. And Sylvia and Michelle Marie, thank you so much for being here. I'm really glad I'm glad you were here together too. You both had some really interesting things that played off one another. So that was really, really nice as well. So, yep, there's Gerald doing his thing.
Like and subscribe.
There we go, everybody. And thanks to people in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone. And I promise to keep this under an hour, so I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you next time, which will be, well, let me at least tell you when next time's going to be, because it's going to be in February. It's going to be February 11th is going to be the next one, which is also a Sunday. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Mwah. Thank you. Visualize a better world. Even though that's not the name of the show, that's what you need to do all the time. All right. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.